So what's psychological safety? This is the climate when individuals feel able to speak up and raise ideas, expectations, or perhaps even concerns. Hi, I'm Chris, I'm a doctor. I've read this book that focuses on this important topic, and I'll do my best to summarize it for you. As a leader, if you're leading an organization, what you want to do is nurture psychological safety, as this can have positive benefits for the organization as a whole, whatever organization you're in. It could help with learning, engagement, or even performance of your organization. Because now we're all essentially knowledge workers, and being able to speak up and honestly and openly interact with others means that we can share ideas, and by sharing ideas, that's when collectively we'll work together and get better ideas. There is, however, a spontaneous tendency to discount the future, and this may explain why at times we're unhelpful to ourselves and our organisation. So for example, if there's a doctor speaking with a patient and the patient doesn't ask a question, it may be that they're discounting the potential future gains there because perhaps they're overweighing a perhaps negative response that they perceive they could receive. So in essence, they're overweighing immediate action for potential future discomfort. There's another example in medicine in which better performing teams report more errors. So in essence, what you're wanting is a culture where people are open and able to report, share errors so that they can learn together. If you're actually a leader and somebody does speak up, you need to be careful about how you respond. We would encourage really a positive, welcoming response, because what you want to do is say thank you for this, so that that individual in future will be able to raise ideas or concerns that could help you and your team strive for optimum performance. It may be that after that you want to educate, to give the kind of explanation of the clinical subtleties as to why that particular thing was undertaken. But you want to congratulate particular junior colleagues if they're speaking up. So why do people not speak up? Well, there's three reasons people tend to remain silent. This is being, firstly, a fear of being viewed or labelled negatively. Secondly, of damaging work relationships. And third, an excessive confidence in an authority. And what we think about here, just to labour it a bit more, because this is the main focus of the book, the benefits of speaking up are often actually unclear and delayed. And whereas the costs, you can tangibly weigh the costs of speaking up, and as a result will often underweigh the benefits and overestimate the importance of the costs of speaking up to that individual. Another way to think of this voice-silence asymmetry is captured in an excellent phrase: no one was ever fired for silence. And potentially people don't speak up because they don't want that immediate risk, even if what they would say would have a massive beneficial impact to the company. And if your organization has lots of people who are fearful to speak up, this is not good. This is the opposite of psychological safety. So how do you encourage worker safety? Well, it starts with reinforcing employees to speak up about hazards and concerns. And in fact, focus groups can sometimes be useful, because if you participate in a focus group, you're expected to speak up to provide your opinion. Another red flag, or a yellow flag really, is about workarounds. I'm a fan of workarounds myself, but this book would argue that workarounds aren't good because they potentially do nothing to diagnose or solve the underlying issue that triggered the need for the workaround in the first place. So therefore, if you're having too many workarounds, perhaps people, rather than speaking up and solving an issue for a wider number of people, they're just going along, doing it themselves, and that potentially could be improved. Think about your leadership style. If you only welcome good news, then this will create barriers from hearing the truth. And many managers actually confuse high standards with good management. And a lack of psychological safety can actually at times create an illusion things are going well, which at times can be overly reassuring until the excrement hits the fan and then serious failures round the corner. So really you're wanting sharing of early shortcomings so that in future potentially bigger shortcomings are avoided and intervention is taken to impact any future large-scale failure. Let's think about others. Remember, we can't actually force people to change the way they think or act. I hope these videos are helping you all get the best out of your lives, but I can't change anything. I can give you knowledge for free, for sure. But even if you're somebody's boss, you can't actually tell them what to do and think they will do this. But we can only influence them and nurture them. So if you're curious about others and compassionate about others, potentially you can wind together a compelling purpose that actually is made tight from caring leadership, people knowing that you actually care about them. And that can motivate them to go the extra mile. Because if you're a leader, humility at times is actually the simple recognition that you don't have all the answers and that you certainly don't have a crystal ball. But if you're able to express humility as a leader, potentially others will admire this behavior and be in turn more willing to show what they have found, to say, well, I don't know the answer to this, but this is an issue, perhaps A, B or C would help address this. Because in essence, if your failure could be described as one thing, failing to fail. And that actually shows that you're not failing and learning from failure, because it's important to move forward to actually learn from failure. And you may think of this, well, you do it and it ends. No, it's a continuous process improving an organization. So you may think it's a direct path. It's more like a snooker ball when I'm hitting it. Quite random, but overall it goes in the right direction. I do hope that you found that helpful. Feel free to comment below, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.